You're listening to Three Things to Know with Stephanie Haney, with experts and insiders on what you need to know in Northeast Ohio.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the Three Things to Know podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Haney, and as always, I am thrilled to have you here with me. We are talking about a universal topic today. We are talking about food and the love of food and eating good food and being good to our bodies, and we are doing it with a very big deal. My guest today is none other than Chef Michael Symon, who you may be familiar not only from his many great restaurants that have been here in the Northeast Ohio area, but also from the Food Network. He's always kicking around with something on the Food Network. You know, he's been doing lots of cool things on his social media accounts throughout the pandemic when things were closed down. He might be the person who loves food the most in this world. I mean, we all love food, right? And what's so great about food is it's such a force for bringing people together. You know, having a meal together, that's a community event sometimes. Food is a big centerpiece for a lot of the reasons that we get together as humans in this world. And it's also important because it fuels our bodies, and that's what we'll be talking about a little bit with Chef Michael Symon today, because he has a new cookbook coming out. It's available for pre-order now, but it's out December 14th. It's one of his Fix It with Food cookbooks. The full title is Fix It with Food, Every Meal Easy, Simple and Delicious Recipes for Anyone with Autoimmune Issues and Inflammation. Now, this is something that he has personal experience with, so we'll talk to him about that as well. And we'll try and get him to maybe spill some secrets from the cookbook if he has any little tidbits he can give us. And also, we'll talk to him about some of the other things that he's going on. You know, as I said, he is on the Food Network all the time, basically, and always doing lots of cool things. We'll talk to him about what's coming up for him next, and just the restaurant space in general, because that's a big topic of conversation too. You know, it has not been an easy time in the restaurant world, and Michael Symon has not been immune to being impacted by the issues that people have faced in the restaurant industry. So we'll talk to him a little bit about that too, and we will get him with us right now. He's here now, so we will bring him in to chat all things food and cookbook and restaurants and all that good stuff. Here he is right now. Michael, thank you so much for being here on the Three Things to Know podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Love having people here that have their Northeast Ohio ties doing incredible things. Let's get started talking about something that you have coming out very soon, your new book. It is available for pre-order now, coming out December 14th. The title of the book, Fix It with Food, Every Meal Easy, Simple and Delicious Recipes for Anyone with Autoimmune Issues and Inflammation. And this is it's so timely, because what we've been seeing, especially with COVID-19, that's really impacting people with the autoimmune issues. Was there anything particular about this time that made you think this was a good time to put this book out?
Yeah, I mean, this is our second Fix It with Food book. So the last one, you know, it's my seventh cookbook, second Fix It with Food. So the last one was, we've been fortunately very, you know, knock on something, successful with cookbooks. And the last Fix It with Food was the most successful book we did. And I think a lot of it is because it came from a specific place. You know, I suffer from autoimmune issues. You know, it's between, I have discoid lupus and I have RA, and I've known I've had both of them since my 20s. You know, but when you're younger, I feel you just kind of smash through things and you're like, pain, big deal, you know, and then as you get a little bit older, you're like, ooh, pain, it is a big deal. And I just didn't want to take a ton of medication. So I really started playing around with my diet and kind of got to where we are with the book. And you know, for me, it was, you know, it's the important thing for me is that, one, it's not like this diet book, like, you know, you don't have to freak out and, oh, I missed a day, what am I going to do? You know, it was that, and it was trial and error for me. So obviously I'm not a doctor, I'm a cook. So, you know, everything that I do in life kind of evolves around food. So it was just a very natural thing for me. It took me about, you know, 3 years of trial and error to figure out what worked and what didn't. And that's kind of how we got to where we were with the book, with, you kind of go through a 10-day reset, then you reintroduce foods back, you figure out which foods are your personal triggers. Because we found out when we were playing around with it, when I was doing it with friends who also had autoimmune issues, everyone's triggers were a little bit different. Everyone's just wired a little bit different. So we wanted to come up with a book that helps you identify your triggers and then gives you, delicious restaurant quality food or great home cooked meals in the book. Not, look, I'm not going to stick to anything where it's like, okay, eat this cracker. Yeah, well, that doesn't work for me. So, yeah, it just, I think it became timely by accident. I wish I could say like, oh yeah, I'm so smart. I always have my, my thumb on the pulse of the people. But it was a book that kind of happened out of necessity for me, and people reacted very strongly to it.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, you've been dealing with those diagnoses since your 20s. You've kind of been doing some, I guess, trial and error research, for a great portion of your life on all of these topics. And as you said, you've got several cookbooks out there. And this isn't the first time you've addressed the autoimmune issues in a cookbook either. You had one out in 2019 that was sort of dealing with meals if you had the autoimmune issues. What I want to know is, in your research for this, in your personal research, when you've been talking with other people, was there anything that was super shocking to you this time around that you learned, like maybe this is something that I didn't expect would sort of aggravate my issues, or this is something that actually makes me feel really good that I wasn't expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a couple things. I think there were some fears going into it for me as a chef. It was like, what is going to trigger me? What's going to be the things that really affect how I feel? And, you hope that it's not certain things that you really love, I guess, at the end of the day. I mean, mine ended up being sugar and dairy. And do I never eat sugar and dairy anymore? Absolutely. I still eat sugar and dairy, but now I don't eat it nearly as often. I eat it very little. And when I do, I realize the effect that it's going to, I explain it in a very simple way, like if you have a bourbon, you're going to feel good you're going to be fine the next day. If you have 4 bourbons, the next day, you're not going to feel great. It doesn't mean you never have 4 bourbons. It happens, and it's like, there's some days where I'm like, you know what, I really want ice cream, and I eat it, but I know that the next day I'm not going to feel great. But at least I could identify and I know what the cause is. Some of the things I think that were interesting to me is just how much better it made me feel, like to eliminate certain things out of my diet and cook around them. When I kind of started dabbling in it, I thought, oh, maybe, this has an effect one way or the other. I certainly didn't feel that this is going to really significantly change the way I feel, but it significantly changed the way I felt, which, was a touch surprising. I mean, we know that food is fuel and our source, and, but sometimes we really forget how bad foods adversely affect how we feel, so it was more effective than I thought it would be. And some of the things that I enjoyed eating, how they affect me adversely, it was like once you do the reset and you feel, you're like, oh my God, I feel great. Like there's very little inflammation in my joints. I'm moving better. My hands don't hurt as bad. My knees don't hurt as bad. Headaches, things of that nature. And all of a sudden those things, you forget how you felt before those things existed almost, and then they go away and you're like, whoa. And then when you kind of get a trigger again, you're like, ooh. So I think the severity, the how much food really affected how I felt was, even as a chef and someone who spent their life in food, was pretty shocking to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's so many documentaries out there about food choices and things like that. One of them, from one of the prominent ones that always kind of sticks with me, is food can either be the quickest form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. And that's something I think, I try to think about it. But again, in life, in all things, I don't always make the best choices for me. So yeah, sometimes I'm going to have four whiskeys, maybe in my case, or 4 vodkas, right, or something. And, it's good to have that knowledge going into it. And
100%.
then you know what you're doing. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah,
Now,
100%.
when you take go ahead.
No, go on.
Oh, I was just going to ask, when you take a look at the recipes that you have put together in this new cookbook coming out so very soon, is there a favorite recipe? I know that's a tough question to ask a chef, but do you have a favorite?
This is why we only have one child, because I could never pick a favorite. It would be too much. I mean, this is like a pre-copy of the book. So, I go through stages like anything else. It's like there's certain times I crave certain things. So when I'm craving that thing, that thing is my favorite on that day. There's a good amount of kind of like some breakfast stuff in here, and I don't, for me, I like to get my day kind of started in the right direction. I've found is very important for me on a day-to-day basis. So I tend to lean as some of those recipes as my favorite. Like we have a puffy omelet in there that I love. I make it all the time. It's just a regular, part of my existence and my I would say bi-weekly routine. And it's simple to make. It doesn't take a lot of time. It comes together quickly, which all the recipes in the book were kind of set up that way. Like, look, this isn't, there's dishes that we used to make at Lolo that took us 3 days to prepare. This is not that book. This is like, get your ingredients in front of you, and in under 10 minutes, you probably have some food on the table that's delicious. So, I tend to, in my day-to-day life, I tend to favor the recipes in the book that are quicker. And some of the egg preparations I really enjoy, but I love eggs,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I love a good breakfast too. I'll eat breakfast for dinner pretty much any night of the week.
Me too. I'm very good with breakfast for dinner.
Love it. All right. I want to shift gears here and talk about one of your other projects. Of course, you are the co-host of Barbecue Brawl on the Food Network. You host that, with Bobby Flay. You brought in another character too. I want to share a personal connection with you really quick. I don't know Bobby Flay, but his daughter Sophie and I went to grad school. We went to journalism school together, and she's just a joy. Yes, we hosted a little show there. Yep, we had a little entertainment show at USC.
Oh, I love that. She is. I adore. Bobby and I have been friends for a long, long time, so I've known Sophie her entire life, and what a fantastic human being. I adore her, and I'm really enjoying seeing, to watch her grow up, and the success she's having now is it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really great. I said to Bobby, I'm like, one good thing is your kid's way better than you.
They are so fun to watch together. I love the little projects that they have going on together.
Hilarious. When my favorite moments in life are when, like, if we're out or it's an event or something like that, and the music comes on and they start the both of them start dancing, is some of my favorite moments in life.
They seem so much more like best friends than father and daughter to me. It is cool. It's cool to see. And I know Bobby is one of your best friends. So you had the first season of Barbecue Brawl together, and then you brought in Eddie Jackson into the mix for this latest season. What was that like, adding someone else to the mix?
It was great. Eddie, I've known Eddie for a while, but I didn't know him well. So, when you're filming a show, it's pretty much, like in this case, we were in Austin, Texas for a month together. So, you get to know each other pretty well. And he's just a great guy, just a really good guy. It was fun to hang around. He's competitive like Bobby and I. He fit in, like, I think there was producers and stuff. There was a moment of like, how is this going to work? Michael and Bobby, I mean, we're just being ourselves. And obviously there's a lot of inside jokes and things of that nature, but Eddie fit in immediately, and just a super, super guy.
Did you guys bond it all over the fact that Bobby Flay's person won again this season?
No, you know what? It's fine. As I like to say, I beat him on the golf course, and I'm fine with that. Bobby and I never do like direct head-to-head cooking competitions, because we just figure it's just, we don't want to turn what made us great friends into a competition. But the mentoring thing is fun, and he's gotten me the past 2 years with the mentoring, which I see myself as a pretty good mentor teacher. So it burns a little. I'm not gonna lie, it stings a little, but okay. I'll just keep taking his money in golf.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it. Well, maybe we can take some solace in the fact that the winner is actually an Ohio person. It was Erica Blair Ropey. She's from the Dayton area. She's got her barbecue thing that she's doing. Now, do you keep in touch at all or keep track of the competitors at all after the show ends?
I do, most of the competitors, like, again, you're together for a good amount of time. So, we exchange numbers and everything else. And I text or talk to them on the regular, and I'm, thrilled to see their success and help them in any way that I can. Same thing when I did Worst Cooks. you know, I guess it's the Ohioan in me, that, that Midwestern thing. It's like, I try to be supportive of them. A lot of the things that they're going through, maybe it's something that I went through already. I had great mentors in that world coming. My first Food Network show was in '98, and I had some really great mentors coming up in that industry, and obviously in the food industry, in the restaurant industry also. So, you try to be good mentors to people and help answer some of the questions that maybe mistakes that you made along the way. And you tell them, look, this didn't work for me. I'm not saying it's not going to work for you, but, I would maybe go this route as opposed to the route you're taking. So it's fun to watch people grow and have the opportunity to mentor, for sure.
Oh, yeah. And to have the access to that insight, incredible. Now, another thing that you did very recently, you flipped your last B Spot location into another Mabel's Barbecue. So that opened up really recently. Of course, there is the one that's on East 4th Street downtown, the Mabel's. But then now there's a new one at Eaton in Woodmere. So my question is, are you just kind of like really going all in on the barbecue thing? Is that the vibe right now?
No, I mean, it's we're working on getting Woodmere open. It's just for, I don't know. We had a lot of success when Mabel's opened downtown. The B Spot in Eaton was our first B Spot. It had a very good long run. Our lease was up there, and kind of the leases for all the B Spots ran out at the same time. And unfortunately, it was during the pandemic. So we're like, okay, well, we didn't know what to do at that point. And the one in Eaton, we just figured it was time for a fresh start, and Mabel's would fit there very well. So not an all in a barbecue. I mean, we still do a lot of different concepts throughout the country. But I make no secret, I adore barbecue, and it's probably one of my favorite things to cook as a chef. It's like, after doing fine dining for 25 years, there's a real, the great thing about barbecue is you use all the kind of tricks and techniques that you learned over cooking fine dining food since, oh God, I said 25 years. It's actually been longer. I'm showing my age, but it's one of those cuisines, or one of those styles of cooking where you really get to kind of use your techniques you've learned over the years as a chef, and it relates to it. Like, I love cooking food that is very process orientated, especially in the restaurant world. So, to get a brisket and then season it and smoke it for 14 hours and have the patience to kind of nurture it along the way and then get how great it is at the end, there's something very rewarding of that style of cooking to me. So it's what I love about barbecue is it's not, like when people are home, like to make a burger or roast a chicken, like a lot of people are willing to do that kind of stuff, but not everybody's willing to put in the 6, 8, 10, 14 or more hours it takes to make really great barbecue. So I enjoy the process of it.
A real labor of love and a commitment too, for sure.
Right.
Now, you did mention your restaurant, Lola, great restaurant. I've eaten there many times. That was on East 4th Street. Unfortunately, that did close. You did have some closures during the pandemic. So as someone who's been doing this for a long time, you opened your first restaurant here in Ohio in 1997, I think, with your lovely wife, Liz.
That is correct.
Yeah. So what's the timing like right now? Do you feel like it's still a tough time, or is now an okay time to sort of start reinvigorating these things?
I think it's both. I think that there's opportunity out there now, because so many restaurants closed. So there's going to be opportunity to find locations for people. But I think it still is a very tough time. I mean, like, look, I'm not 20. I'm trying to think how old Sophie is, but it doesn't matter. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'm not in my early 30s anymore. I'm in my 50s now. I'm a grandparent. It's like, it's not that I don't want to continue to do restaurants and continue working in the food world and continue to do all those things. I do. But the restaurant business is hard to start with. I mean, I'm sure Sophie told you, even with her dad, it's like, you're looking at 80, 90, 100-hour weeks pretty much your entire life. That's, if you want to be successful, that's what it takes to be successful in the business, unless I'm just not smart, and that's how I had to do it. But everybody that I've ever met in the restaurant business is successful. An 80 to 100-hour work week is the norm. And as you get a little bit older, and those get more difficult to do. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. I think that some of the younger cooks and chefs and restaurateurs in Cleveland and other cities will take advantage of those opportunities. But now it's like a different challenge. Now there's a challenge with getting the labor force, getting all those things in line, and product is insanely expensive right now. So then you have to, the consumer has to realize that, like, this is going to be the price of eating out. You're talking about an industry that, when Liz and I opened Lola in 1997, it was an industry that could drop 20% to the bottom line. Now it's an industry that drops 5 or 6% to the bottom line. But the work doesn't get any easier. Beef prices and all those prices are, to go to a restaurant and get a steak now is $50, $60. It's just, and it's still the highest food cost item that the restaurant has on the menu. So, I think it's going to be an interesting time. Is the consumer, I mean, you could tell just by going to the grocery store, but is the consumer willing to pay the dollar amount that restaurants are going to need to be successful? And then are you going to be able to get the correct amount of labor in there to be open? Like, even Mabel's now is open 5 days on a regular week, 6 days on home Browns games. We just can't find the workforce.
Sure. Well, I've not been in the ownership side of the restaurant industry, but I've worked in a ton of restaurants, and I've worked for independent restaurants too. So I can definitely attest to the fact those people, you are putting in those long, long hours, so many stresses. Right. There is, I don't think there was a shift there that our owners weren't there when I was at, those kind of startup restaurants. So I guess my question for you then would be, is there any particular advice you have for somebody who might be hoping to get started in the restaurant industry right now? Yeah,
I would say, it's going to be a little bit harder than you think, which is fine. That's part of the joy. I would say look for, great locations. And there's a lot of those available now. Negotiate the best lease that you can. Hopefully landlords find it in their heart to be a little bit more fair. I think things got a little out of whack with rent and stuff pre-pandemic. And then, just be passionate and cook the food and serve the food in the style that you love. Like, I think so many young cooks and restaurateurs, they like say, oh, this concept works, I'm going to do something like that, which is fine. But really, the most successful chefs and restaurateurs are like, this is something I'm very passionate about, and I'm going to do this and follow my own instincts and cook the food and give the style of service and make the type of cocktails that really make me happy. And if it makes you happy, chances are it'll make the guest happy. I think the best example of that right now in Cleveland is, and I always say it a little bit wrong, is Zhug, Doug Katz's restaurant on Cedar. It's a restaurant that's unlike any other restaurant in Cleveland, and it's something Doug was obviously passionate about, and he went out there, and it's not another copycat restaurant. It's not another oh, someone's having success with this, I'm going to do the exact same thing and see if I can get into some of that success. So to me, the restaurants that are always the most successful long term are the ones that come from a place in the person creating them. we have a barbecue restaurant because we love barbecue. We have Lola because that was a passion of ours 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Our when we had the B spots, like I love a hamburger. So we opened a hamburger place, and it's never, if you go into the restaurant business going, oh, I'm going to do this because this is going to make money, you're dead. It's never going to happen. So you need to go into it from like, I'm getting into this because I'm passionate about this. It's no different with me when I do television. It's like Simon's Dinners, which we're in our 4th season now, the one where Liz and I cook in our backyard, was born out of, oh my God, the pandemic started. What are we going to do? Let's teach people how to cook. And like Olivia, who works with me, UCLA grad, so you can't be mad at her about that. Right. But we filmed 52 episodes of television on an iPhone, but it was because we were in a time where people wanted to learn how to cook more things. The grocery stores were out of all this food, and we just started going to get food and doing what we love to do and teaching people how to cook. I have a new show coming up with Katie Pickens, another native Clevelander from Lakewood, who's been my culinary director for, she's been with Liz and I for over 15 years. It's called Throwdown, that starts in December. And, it's a style of show that I love because we get to discover new restaurants. We get to show people great chefs that maybe they haven't seen before. And then there's a little competition in there, and I'm doing it with someone who's worked for Liz and I for a really long time and almost like another child to us. So, if you do things that you love with people that you love, chances are that you're going to succeed.
And I think that's so true. That's so applicable really in all aspects of life. You can feel that passion. It really kind of transcends from people, and it wants to bring people in. It wants to get that engagement happening. So great advice there. Thank you for that note. Where can people catch that Throwdown? Where's that coming to us?
Throwdown, it starts the same day Fix It With Food comes out, December 14th on Food Network. Okay. So they're just starting to make announcements about it now. So we started with 4 episodes. Hopefully we will do a lot more, but it's a really fun show. Actually, Bobby's production company is producing the show, which is fun, obviously for other reasons. And it's myself and Katie, and we the first 4 episodes we did in New York, but we find people that are the best at what they do and feature them and on why they're so great at their craft. And then we have a little cook-off with them. So it's fun.
Well, that sounds great. Can't wait for that. Looking forward to that. Okay, as you mentioned, coming out the same day as your book, Fix It With Food. Let people know, for people who have been living under a rock, where do people get your book? Where can people get Fix It With Food?
Well, I mean, they obviously Amazon, any local bookstore. I've done a couple things on Talk Shop Live. So there's a million ways that you could go about ordering it. So, I would say go to the Amazon website, go to local books. I always love supporting a local bookstore. So go to places that are local to you and support those. Obviously, that's a great way to get the books too. The day of live book signings, unfortunately, is not really happening currently. So we're not going to be doing any of those, but we'll continue to do things on social. We'll be doing book giveaways and cooking things out of the books and having a little bit of fun that way.
All right. Well, we'll be looking for that. We'll find that on your Instagram, Chef Symon, and all of those places and all of those ways. Michael, thank you so much for being here on the 3 Things to Know podcast. We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thanks. That was definitely a fun surprise there at the end to learn that he's working on a new show for the Food Network with a Northeast Ohioan. I cannot wait to be on the look for that. I'm going to be Googling Katie Pickens right away so I can figure out what's going on there. And, who knows, maybe we can get her on the podcast. That would be pretty great. And if you want to see what, as I said, Michael Symon has going on Instagram, you got to follow him on Instagram. It's Chef Symon, ChefSymon. Lots of good stuff going on there. Lots of cute photos of his grandbabies if you want to check that out. And also food recommendations, which brings me to what you need to know in NEO this week. And he mentioned it when we were just chatting there. He mentioned the restaurant, and he has a difficult time pronouncing it. I have a difficult time pronouncing it. It's Zhug, but that's not how you say it. It's got kind of like a throat clear at the beginning of it. It's like like I can't do it. It's Zhug, Z-H-U-G. Google how to pronounce it and you'll understand what I'm saying. But that restaurant, it is by Chef Douglas Katz, another great chef here in the Northeast Ohio area. Here is what Michael Symon posted about Zhug, which is how I'm just going to keep saying it. So let's just accept the fact that that's how I'm going to say it, okay? Here is what Michael Symon posted about the restaurant on Instagram. He said that it was insanely good. He said it was one of the best and most thoughtful restaurants in the country right now. In my humble opinion, could eat here every day. Thanks to Zhug and Chef Douglas Katz, just brilliant. That's a pretty raving review, if you ask me. Now, if you go to the Zhug website, what you will see is it is described as a new concept that offers Middle Eastern meze. Now, meze means appetizer, so we're looking at small plates here, in a casual, high-energy urban space. And this is at Cedar Fairmount in Cleveland Heights. So if you want to take a little jaunt over to the east side of Cleveland, check out this restaurant. It is open for dine-in, patio, and takeout. And it's not just Michael Symon that is singing the praises of Zhug here in the east side of Cleveland, because Esquire magazine named it one of the best restaurants of 2020. That's pretty high praise. So check it out. The website is zhugcle.com. And now that brings us to a good follow this week. And our good follow for you this week is none other than Doug Trattner. He is our food editor at Channel 3. And if you need to check out a place in Northeast Ohio, if you're looking for a place to eat, Doug Trattner is your guy. He has actually authored several cookbooks with Michael Symon. So they've worked together very closely, and some of those are New York Times best-selling cookbooks, by the way. So you can find him on Instagram at Doug Trattner, and it's Trattner, Doug Trattner, Trattner. He actually worked with him on that other cookbook that we were talking about that also deals with the autoimmune issues and inflammation. That came out in 2019. That's another Fix It with Food book for Michael Symon and Doug Trattner. And I do have it on good authority, by the way, that Doug Trattner rarely eats anywhere twice. So if you're looking for a new spot, he's your go-to guy. You can find him on Instagram at Doug Trattner, and then you'll also find him. He's also on Twitter, by the way, as well. And you'll see his pieces that he does for Channel 3, where he's always at a place before it opens. He's always got his finger on the pulse of what is happening in the dining space here in the Northeast Ohio area. So definitely a good follow to add to your feed. All right, that does it for us this week for the 3 Things to Know podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have enjoyed the show, now is a great time to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and also to share this with your friends. And if you feel so inclined, leave a rating and a review. That really does help us engage with more people and connect with more people here in the Northeast Ohio area, which is what we want to do. Thanks for being here, guys, and I will see you back next week with more 3 Things to Know.
Thanks for listening to 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now to stay in the know.